Yeah.
It's a pretty big update that's happening. Krafton CEO took the stand. He confessed. It's about Subnautica and a lot of like stuff that's been happening behind the scenes. So there's
Yeah.
finally an update.
The trial between the fired creators of Subnautica and Krafton have started. The stakes: Krafton's reputation and a $250 million payout. But before the trial,
That's a massive payout. For people who might not know what Krafton is, Inzoi is under Krafton, PUBG Battlegrounds is under Krafton, Subnautica, Natural Selection 2, Terra, Moonbreaker, Dincom, it's all under Krafton.
even started, things got weird. The fired execs claimed that Krafton's CEO asked ChatGPT how he could deny their payout. A bit weird, but then Krafton
Hold the
No
phone.
way.
Hold the phone.
started, things got weird. The fired execs claimed that Krafton's CEO asked ChatGPT how he could deny their payout.
Ain't no way. There is no way. Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa, that's huge.
I feel like this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It cannot be real, right? I'm sorry, this is so stupid. Okay, I'm genuinely flabbergasted. Kim turned to artificial intelligence to help him brainstorm ways to avoid paying the earnout. ChatGPT likewise advised that it would be difficult to cancel the earnout, but Kim was undeterred. Even ChatGPT said, maybe you shouldn't do that.
That's illegal.
What even ChatGPT is smarter than you? Bro.
A bit weird, but then Krafton put out a statement denying that that happened. And then the
After Krafton denied it, CEO consulted with ChatGPT on the Subnautica 2 mess. Krafton CEO says he consulted with ChatGPT on the Subnautica 2
Bro.
This is such a bad comedy sketch going on.
CEO took the stand and actually admitted that yes, he did use ChatGPT to try and find a solution to his problems, and then deleted the queries. But today's story's got a bit more than just that touch of destroyed evidence. There's even a secret task force. So, with that in mind, let's get into it. Here are your characters for today's story. Unknown Worlds are the team who make Subnautica. Then you've got Krafton. They're a Korean publisher. They publish PUBG, and they paid $500 million to own Unknown Worlds as they were working on Subnautica 2. And within that team, the important characters for today's story are Charlie Cleveland, Max McGuire, and Ted Gill. They were the leadership of Unknown Worlds, the people who were entitled to a performance payout of up to $250 million if the studio hit its revenue targets.
Yeah, so this is where it all started, that the people who were working on the game accused Krafton of intentionally sabotaging them so they would not hit the deadline on time and wouldn't get the bonus. If you don't want to pay out the bonus, why did you promise them the bonus in the first place? You shouldn't have done that.
Now, the way things worked after the acquisition were that Krafton just left day-to-day control to the founders, but that is a decision that perhaps would come back to haunt them. Now, in July, those three men were fired from their company. Krafton took over the studio and they installed new leadership. And they also put out a statement. They said that Subnautica 2 was not ready, that they were committed to releasing the best game possible.
Yeah, and the people who were fired, they said it actually was ready. They're lying.
And that they need.
Well, it was more of a situation of like he said, she said, with no actual evidence.
Needed to delay, but then came Bloomberg. Their bombshell report directly linked the performance payout, the delay, and the firings together. Krafton responded to that, saying that the delay was decided before anyone was fired. And then came the other explanation, which was that the firings happened because the leadership had actually abandoned the project, with Cleveland in Hollywood making a Christmas film. This Christmas film, by the way. Yeah, an odd quirk to this story. And
what am I looking at?
What the hell is this?
Nutmeg and mistletoe. He left to make this movie? Why?
and Maguire just not working on Subnautica 2. But then there was something else. A leak. A leak revealed milestone reviews showing.
Spoiler alert, looks like an internal Krafton document on Subnautica 2's development just leaked. Spotted this over on r/Subnautica 2. Someone dropped what they claim is a leaked internal Krafton document detailing the current state of Subnautica 2 development. The leaker writes, this clearly shows the state of the development progress and why Krafton and Subnautica team disagreed on the release schedule. Heads up, authenticity is unverified and the post contains potential content spoilers, features, timelines, etc. If you care about going in blind, you might want to skip. As always, take everything with a grain of salt. Oh yeah, understandable. It's this whole story is such a freaking mess.
Yeah.
Showing that they had missed both their 2023 and 2024 release dates and needed about 30% more content for the game to feel complete. And I need you to keep that leak in mind for later. Now, Cleveland and Company fought back by filing a lawsuit against.
Lawsuit, a community update from Charlie. Hello, everyone. It continues to be an explosive and surreal time for the Subnautica team and community. None of this is what we wanted, but we truly appreciate the amazing support we've gotten from everyone. It means a lot to us, especially now. As I wrote last week, we know in our soul that the game is ready for early access. That's just how we roll, and we'll like nothing more than you to play it. Game devs live for this. But it's not currently under our control. We've now filed a lawsuit against Krafton. The details should eventually become at least mostly public. You all deserve the full story. Suing a multi-billion-dollar company in a painful public and possibly protracted way was certainly not on my bucket list. But this needs to be made right. Subnautica has been my life's work, and I would never willingly abandon it or the amazing team that has poured their hearts into it. As for their earnout, the idea that Max, Ted, and I wanted to keep it all for ourselves is totally untrue. I'm in this industry because I love it, not for riches. Historically, we've always shared our profits with the team and did the same when we sold the studio. You can be damn sure we'll continue with their earnout bonus as well. They deserve it for their incredible work trying to get this game into your hands.
Krafton, and that's why today's story exists. Now, as a part of a lawsuit, there's a phase called discovery. That's the bit where you are legally required to hand over any relevant documents. That means that everyone's got each other's documents, and some of those documents are not quite good. First up, though, we've got to decloud. You see, I'm currently saving thousands of pounds, and you can do the same using today's sponsor, Ugreen. You see, they've got a new NAS that is designed for beginners. It makes it super easy. It's just brilliant. But I want to talk about the numbers first, right? So get a load of this. 12 terabytes of iCloud storage is £54.99 a month. That's $659.88 a year. Forever! Which is well over $3,000 after 5 years, and that's paying for storage that I will never own. So here's what the alternative looks like. You get a Ugreen NAS like this, DH2300. You buy two 6 terabyte drives for about 220 quid, and that's basically it. You've got your storage, and you've paid a third of the yearly price of renting that storage. It's completely insane, and that's without taking into account...
Is Ugreen even reliable? Because I actually need to look into storage devices for myself. For all the music, all the models, all the art, I'm actually kind of lacking it.
Yeah.
So, let me take a quick glance at what people are saying. Oh, wait, people are actually praising Ugreen.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, they're expensive, though.
Oh.
Yeah, they're very, very expensive. Not the cheapest thing to buy. They're ranging around like 500, 600.
Cloud enshittification and price hikes, like say the price hike that Dropbox pulled on us. I mean, the maths is just embarrassing for the cloud. But here's what actually matters a lot more for most.
One thing that really worries me about like syncing stuff on the cloud, which one was I using? iCloud? The one that erased everything off of my desktop?
No, that was Google Drive.
Oh yeah, Google Drive. A lot of PCs have pre-installed a Google Drive on their PC, so you have to manually disable. I didn't do that on my previous machine. So what happened was I finally decided to completely disable Google Drive on my PC because I never sync anything there. I never use it. And Google Drive decided to completely wipe everything that's on my PC except for the OS. I never synced with Google Drive before. I wasn't even logged in. So we had to pay like what $200 for like an external program that would scrape everything to put it all back. It was like
Yep.
$200, right?
Yeah, shit was expensive.
That was so frustrating. And I'm talking about everything. All my work stuff when I had my desk job, every single one of my documents. It was the most infuriating thing that ever happened.
People day to day. That the solution just works, and you get that with Ugreen. You can NFC tap to just connect your phone. Your files sync across every device you've got, your phone, your laptop, whatever. It'll take up to 60 terabytes of storage, and for a clever little twist, the 4K
Ooh,
60
that's
Hz
good.
HDMI output just turns it into a proper media server, so you can stream your own content with no streaming compression, which is huge for me, no platform restrictions. And they've got AI photo management that'll help you actually find things, so you can search by words and images, faces, and stuff like that. And of course, it's got the NAS stuff. You can set up RAID to protect against drive failures, get proper two-factor security, and UGOS Pro, their software, is
I'm still very undecided if I want to host like my own like storage cloud or if I want just something that I can plug in. I'm kind of maybe I'm like a little too tinfoil hat. I really don't trust the whole cloud storage anymore. Just really bad experience. So if anyone
Yes,
has
understand.
suggestions, I'm all ears.
dead simple to use. So basically, it's a no-brainer, especially with the Black Friday discount. Just click the link below and stop renting storage that you'll never own. Literally, it's a no-brainer. It pays for itself. Okay, let's talk about Discovery. So during Discovery, Krafton argued that they only needed to hand over documents containing the exact words earn-out and termination. But the judge said that that was actually, quote, very narrow. So basically, they'd need to turn over more. Krafton also demanded to forensically inspect the former executive's hardware, but the judge actually rejected that as well. But most importantly, Krafton refused to share information on the state of the game before the filings, despite that being their stated reason for the terminations. And the reason why is amusing. It's because Krafton actually changed their whole argument mid-trial. Now, Krafton argues that the leadership stole confidential.
Instead of Krafton is focusing on the argument that the founders abandoned their post and deceived their employer, causing more confusion in the accusation than the founders downloaded files and kept devices with confidential information on them. This only came to light after the termination, so its relevance has been questioned.
Documents and lied about what they were doing within their jobs, and that is why Krafton wanted to inspect their hardware. But there's a problem with that. The leadership only gathered those documents after they were fired, and they gathered them to retain evidence. That's the allegation from the Unknown World side anyway. Basically, the Krafton argues that the theft justified their firing, but after the fact, which you can probably imagine is a little bit strange logically. Krafton's new argument sees it differently though, that leadership deceived them about their jobs and then stole documents when they got caught. So, to understand what the Unknown World leadership are trying to knock down, let's dive into Krafton's side of this trial. Krafton's lawyers stuck to a simple argument in their pre-trial brief. Per filings obtained by game developer, Krafton says that the court is being asked to restore executives to, quote, jobs they were not performing and grant them control of, quote, a company they were not running in order to, quote, release a video game they did not make. When you say it out loud, it's quite funny. Their argument is basically that leadership abandoned the studio. Okay, let's dive into more details. After the first delay in April 2024,
fittingly, UW's employee called the key employees absentee landlords. Another employee complained that Cleveland and McGuire were putting in near zero effort, while the team was scrambling to try and make things for Subnautica too.
Krafton quoted unnamed staff calling Cleveland and McGuire, quote, absentee landlords who were, quote, putting in near zero.
Like, like all of the quote unquote evidence Krafton is providing is basically, oh, we heard this and this unnamed person said this, and like we're thinking that they might have done this. It's like literal, just trust me, bro.
Zero effort, and they cite emails showing that McGuire and Cleveland actually wanted to retire, but there is a problem. Under the contract, retiring would make earning the payouts quite a bit harder. So Krafton alleges that the trio invented new job titles for themselves to get around this problem. They then told Krafton that nothing would change, but actually told staff that things in fact would change. Krafton also alleges that leadership hid compensation changes, and this is when Cleveland's film work is said to have started. Now Krafton says that they never agreed to any of this stuff, and they frame Cleveland and McGuire as, quote, the magical pair, the duo that they would not have done the deal without. As we progress through the trial, Krafton's allegations follow a similar pattern, that leadership cared about the payout a lot more than the floundering project, and they even say that they offered the Unknown World.
Instead of terminating the key employees immediately, Krafton decided to give the key employees another chance.
Leaders another chance, basically saying, get deeply involved in Subnautica 2 so it actually comes out and is good, and if you do that, we will extend your payout window so that you actually can hit it. But they say that in response to that, Gil kept pushing for upfront payouts, and that because of that, they had to go. But there is more than that. Krafton also claims that leadership, quote, stole huge volumes of game assets and proprietary information while preparing to be fired. And Krafton believes that the judge has got to rule in their favor because the leadership, quite simply, broke their agreements. Now, rather unsurprisingly, the leadership does disagree with Krafton's position. The fired Unknown Worlds leadership took full...
This is so messy. I
What
would
the
say
hell?
this definitely goes under like actual drama in gaming.
Yeah.
advantage of the discovery phase, and in doing that, Krafton now only had two real arguments, both of which, though, the founders could counter with evidence that they got. Now, the founders don't dispute most of Krafton's timeline. What they dispute is Krafton's framing. They don't deny that the game was delayed, but they point to playtests from earlier this year as evidence that the game was actually on track. And an expert inside Unknown Worlds also said that, quote, the planned 2025 release would have been best. That's an odd way to frame it, but basically, Krafton couldn't cite a single employee who thought the game wasn't ready, which does kind of echo the original Bloomberg reporting on this story from earlier. The founders also claimed that Krafton knew about the job changes and their potential impact. There are messages from Gil to the Krafton board members that are rather blunt. I'll read this one directly. While Charlie Cleveland attended meetings, he doesn't do any of the work on either the company or game. So with a communication like that existing, it's harder to make the claim that they just didn't tell Krafton things. And this is one of the reasons why, if you want a paper trail, send an email. Now to back this up, they've also got internal Krafton documents.
If you ever are in a situation where you actually do have to communicate with someone actively, also from personal experience, when you're negotiating something with someone or making plans, do it over text. Always do it over text. Even for me, you have no idea how often it saved my ass. Like, even in like my previous jobs, if I was being told something, I would insist on having it in writing. Otherwise, it's a no-go.
Documents that confirm that Cleveland was not involved in day-to-day development and that he was rather just an occasional contributor. So, Krafton had been informed, had congratulated them on the changes, and had even discussed making Cleveland's Hollywood work an official Krafton role, even including...
Okay, Kim, I also need to meet with him, suggested officially recognizing Charlie's film project, considering it could provide valuable experience for HQ. He proposed assigning him a formal role. Park, would this be a company-wide initiative rather than just within the studio? It's just an idea for now, but the suggestion is to bring Charlie's work into an official framework. Right now, he is operating independently. The idea is not to control him, but that formalizing his role would clarify that this is part of Krafton's business rather than a side project. Talking about his movie?
Bro, what?
Charlie is quite reserved, so he might feel pressured. I'll meet with him first to explain that the goal is to help him focus on his current work rather than interfere. After that, the CEO can meet with him as well. From what I understand, Charlie is personally funding Christmas movie. We debated whether this should be seen as distraction or beneficial experience for the company. It seems to be the latter, so we don't intend to hinder his Hollywood involvement. I'll provide another update before the CEO visits the studio.
A Subnautica movie. Yeah. Now, on data theft, it's a little funky. The leadership argues their positions entitled them to those documents, and since they only took the documents after receiving termination notices to protect the company and the game, that they couldn't have been fired for that theft. At least not under Delaware law, which is where the company is incorporated.
Wait, even if it were properly pleaded, Krafton's document downloaded the theory would fail under Delaware law. A party cannot satisfy the after acquired evidence doctrine unless its newfound justification independently supports termination.
And what it cuts to is that being fired for stealing something that you only took after you were fired breaks causality. Krafton ain't sending their best. Though to be fair, they could argue that taking those documents is just further proof that firing these people was the right move. But to counter this, the Subnautica founders want us to consider the case of development director Mike Verrett. Basically, he also downloaded files from Krafton servers, but he is not an executive with special privileges. That would mean that under Krafton's own logic, he should have been fired as well. But obviously, he wasn't fired, and instead Krafton offered him, quote, financial incentives to remain at unknown worlds. Same action, different treatment. Is that because the co-founders would have been due a far, far larger payout? Maybe.
100%. That's literally the reason why they got treated differently. Less money spent.
I cannot say that, I can't make that claim, though I would imagine it's perhaps a mix of that and maybe Krafton, wanting to keep their development director so the game actually gets developed. Now, the founders' reading things here is that Krafton's real issue is that damaging information went public. And by damning information, well, remember the milestone leak that I talked about at the top of the video? That. Now, the founders...
So that leak was actually legit? What's the proof of it being legit, though?
Deny being the source of that, and instead, they actually point to Krafton's CEO saying that he wanted to, quote, make the founders look greedy, and they suggest that that might explain the leaks.
Whoa.
There's no way. No one would be that stupid to fabricate a leak just to make someone look bad, right? Especially when you're a CEO, you can't be that stupid, right? There's no way.
Just certainly something. But you may also be thinking about that task force that I teased you with earlier. Well, here goes. Discovery also exposed Slack messages from June, and these are between...
It's always the Slack. It's always the Slack stuff.
Gotcha, bitch.
Even in my situation, it was the Slack stuff. I swear to God, at this point, companies should just stop using Slack because the reputation with that, it's like always when something getting exposed, it's the Slack stuff. For people who don't know, Slack is it's something like Discord, but for offices, for companies to be able to communicate with people who are also working in like different locations. So it's like an office Discord.
Krafton CEO CH Kim and his head of strategy Richard Yoon. Now, the fired execs had been negotiating $75 million for themselves and $40 million for staff from a total forecast payout of at least $191 million. Krafton wanted to cancel the payment entirely, and not just for the execs, they also wanted to cut the staff one from $40 million down to just $10 million. In Yoon's words, quote, it might just be easier to take over, and that's when...
Oh, hell no. Yeah, Yoon, I had a phone call a little while ago. This time they were asking for $75 million for themselves and $40 million for their team members. They say they won't do it unless we negotiate the packages of the teams together. Then again, Yoon. The bucket for the team members we are thinking of at present is 10 million. It might be easier to just take over, dot, dot, dot. And Kim responds with, set a date and send a letter if you need to send it in advance. That was all the, oh, dang. Okay.
In Yoon's words,
Nice.
quote, it might just be easier to take over. And that's when Krafton created a secret task force to force the leadership out and to seize control of unknown worlds. And this is when Kim turned to
So I talked to the legal team, the finance team, and the corporate team, and the PR, all these various teams. And I also actually searched on ChatGPT to get faster answers, to figure out what kind of rights we have. That dude was going like, he was sweating up his bumhole. Holy.
ChatGPT in search of, quote, faster answers.
Why are more people not talking about this?
The fire leadership say he was asking it how
Kim turned to artificial intelligence to help him brainstorm. This is what we started with, yeah.
to cancel their payout, and those chat logs have since been deleted. Though, if my understanding of things is correct, those should be obtainable legally from OpenAI, I believe. Maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't.
Oh my god, please make it happen. I want to read through his ChatGPT, please. I really want to see his ChatGPT.
Let me in.
There's the Epstein files, now we have the Krafton files, the ChatGPT saga. Make it happen, please. That's gonna be my bedtime story to read.
But that leads to the founder's final allegation here, that it's not just about money, that it's about Krafton and its CEO not losing face. You see, Kim had called the original deal
Is this how like drama channels feel like when there's a Google Docky dropping, like the giddiness and excitement? Because I'm feeling like this about the potential of the ChatGPT logs.
quote, one under which Krafton can only be dragged around. And he also told Cleveland that, as the person who signed
Yeah, he as the person responsible for the investment would have to take responsibility. I mean,
the deal, he would have to, quote, take responsibility. I think that ultimately paints a picture of Krafton, perhaps, like a lot of companies, kinda regretting what they spent during the pandemic. That's when interest rates were zero, markets were going absolutely insane, and everyone was indoors playing video games. By now, you've heard both sides of the story, and it all will come down to a contract. One that Krafton signed in 2021. One where they paid COVID hysteria prices for the company and offered an extravagant payout to its leadership.
I swear to God, every single big gaming company made the worst financial decisions during the COVID gaming boom. I think all their financial and business advisors need to genuinely be blacklisted. Whoever told them to say yes and give all this amount of money and hire all this swarm of people need to be seriously blacklisted from industries. They gave the worst advice ever.
And of course to its staff, and a situation where they left operational control to the founders. Obviously, that relationship broke down. But for finality in this story, we will need to wait for the verdict next January. But the real question isn't just legal. It's whether anything the leadership did justifies what's happening to the people making Subnautica 2. Because if that's the thing you're actually excited about, that's what matters most. And those people are stuck in the crossfire, and that won't change until this is over. But some bad news has actually changed, though it's about another game. It's called Hytale. It's no longer dead, and you can learn all about it in this video next.
That was a good video. I'm so glad I clicked on it. Holy, I really hope more people are going to be talking about this. I genuinely only seen Belula so far post a video on it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I don't know all the channels talking about games, but the ones I follow, they're not really talking about this. But damn, this is poo-poo swinging all over the place. This is just monkeys in a cage with poop on their hands. Oh,
It's like primitive SpongeBob.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just whoo. This is a messy drama, drama, drama.
I'm spinning in circles like a crooked thread. Dance with the chaos inside my head. I'm bouncing off walls, can't find my feet. Stumbling round in a world so sweet. The world's a carnival, a funny parade. I'm laughing through tears in a bright masquerade. Strange colors blur, but I'm still in the game. Juggling dreams, but none feel the same. Bouncing on clouds.